block. Joe wants to be traded. But now Joe comes back and he denies all trade talk and says John says he has no desire to play elsewhere. So he shut it down. He's still viewed as a franchise centerpiece when on the floor. Memphis, they're better with him.
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
The Buffalo Bills have to find a new head coach. Take a look at the leaders right now. A 33% chance Brian Dable takes that job. You say, well, why? Wait a second here. He's the head coach of the New York Giants. Did you know he came from the Buffalo Bills and basically resurrected Josh Allen on that MVP trajectory while he was with the Buffalo Bills? Clay Kubiak, Joe Brady, Davis Webb, all offensive guys, which I agree with.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Sure, you could say the punt block is a key play in the game. It was.
It was.
But the signature play of last night's game is the John Elway-esque diving sideways into the end zone. There's a picture of it right there. Yeah. To effectively win the national championship. That dude's a baller.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Hold on a second, though. You believe that Mike McDaniel is not head coach caliber?
No.
There's a lot of evidence that says Cliff Kingsbury is not
That's
either.
fine that you believe that. But here's the thing. There's
more. Hold on a second.
Hang on, go ahead.
Mike McDaniel has a better resume than Cliff Kingsbury.
He does on paper, but he's not a locker room guy.
Well, is Cliff?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Right back out of here. Hour number 2 of the early line. It's been a fight so far. You see your boy DRS. There's no days off in this business right now. The voice getting weaker by the segment, but the fight is going to continue today, Joe, because it's hump day. We're through 1 hour. We can see the back stretch here. Down the stretch we go for this final hour. I'm ready to take on this challenge, Joe. You've been great as my co-host today, carrying the weight of this program here. But I'm here for the fight, Joe. Just wanted to let you know.
Hang in there, man. You're doing a great job, Donnie. It's teamwork, man. It's teamwork. Like, I believe another 2-0 night last night for us. And that's what we do. We carry each other here.
Trying to get by here, Joe, which is what we do. And let's talk a little Major League Baseball in the early lineup. Well, yeah, we're waiting for the regular season to start. We're waiting for pitchers and catchers. And the WBC should be a lot of fun. But when we take a look at Cooperstown, it's always supposed to be the best of the best that get in. Now in Major League Baseball, we've now elected 2 more players, Carlos Beltran and also Andrew Jones, Joe. You had a great caffeinated segment to open up this show in hour number 1. Your thoughts on the new class here, Beltran, Jones, and Kent.
It's just another shining example of the utter hypocrisy of the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. The process is a joke. The fact that, and don't get me wrong, Andrew Jones, fantastic. One of the best center fielders I've seen. When he came up with Atlanta, he was like 19 years old. The kid was an absolute phenom, 5-tool player. He didn't finish his career with 2,000 hits. He didn't even get 2,000 hits in his career. Great center fielder, Gold Glover, great. But you didn't get 2,000 hits. And Carlos Beltran, to me, is the biggest laughable one of them all. No Barry Bonds, no Clemens, because, they played in a steroid, and we think they did steroids. Even though they never failed a test or were ever proven otherwise, they're not in the Hall of Fame. But a guy that was actually named in a Major League Baseball investigation for one of the worst cheating scandals in the last 100 years in the sport. He got fired as the Mets manager. But he's okay to be in the Hall of Fame? It's congrats, guys. But once again, giant hypocrisy all over the place.
Used to be the Hall of Fame. Now it's really the Hall of Very Good at this point. And it's just the way it is. It's a business. They got to put guys in. Like the executive committees. Like Jeff Kent had over a decade to get in the Hall of Fame. Couldn't come close to get voted in. So then the executives after that, the olders guys per se, put him in the Hall of Fame. Stop the madness, but I don't even get upset with this anymore. It's just the way it is here. The New York Mets continue to transform their outfield, and they add Luis Robert Jr. from the Chicago White Sox, one of the more talented, hyped-up guys over the past 3 to 4 years. Just hasn't worked out in Chicago. He's going to try it now for the New York Mets. They'll take on that $20 million per year contract. He heads over to the Mets outfield.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the guy is certainly, he's a really good center fielder, right? But he's also, I think, the 5th center fielder that somehow the Mets have acquired over the last 2+ seasons here. Like, they just can't get that position correct. This is a guy that should be able to hit 30 home runs, steal 30 bases. I mean, he's got all the tools. Can he stay healthy enough? But he's also been a bit of a distraction in the locker room from what we hear. But isn't everybody coming from the White Sox a bit of a distraction these days? So we'll see how it works out. To be determined, I think, Donnie, with this one.
Yeah, super talented, and maybe you just need that fresh start that can sort of catapult you into the second part of your career. The New York Giants, they're ready to go catapulting themselves with John Harbaugh, 5-year, $100 million contract to take on the head coaching responsibilities of the New York Giants.
You have to love this whole move by the Giants and Harbaugh. I mean, talk about a great organization, one of the all-time great coaches, all at the same time, universe coming together, right time, right place. Now they come together, and a organization that needed stability in the biggest way. They got one of the truly best to right the ship, much like Tom Coughlin many moons ago did for this organization.
Here's a clip that we have for the press conference with Harbaugh doing his Harbaugh-isms.
Of coaching the New York Football Giants. And my dad taught me that they were the New York Football Giants. They weren't just the Giants of they were the New York Football Giants, right, Dad? All the way back. Mom and Dad taught us to attack this day with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind, right? We learned that. And that's what we're going to do every single day. Jim and Joni, hey, out there. Jim, we're not in the AFC, Jim. You can breathe easy.
You've had a history of establishing young quarterbacks, developing them, Joe Flacco, Lamar Jackson. How do you plan to do that with Jackson Dart, and what have the early conversations looked like with him?
That's a great question. It's going to be, I would say, you talk about different players, but it's going to be the Jackson Dart way. It's going to be whatever is best for him. And I think he's got a lot, we have a lot to work with in him. People are excited about him for a reason. He's a tough competitor. He's got tons of talent. He loves football. He wants to work hard. Those ingredients work pretty well.
Harbaugh era has begun in New York. You know what else has begun? The Kevin Stefanski era in Atlanta, which has Baker Mayfield all in his feelings, not happy about it ended in Cleveland. And now he says, I'll see you 2 times a year, coach.
And I am all for that. We need more of this. Saleh going to Tennessee and with him and Liam Cohn's battle earlier this year, and Saleh telling him, I will ruin you. We need more of this in football. This kumbaya stuff, everyone loving one another. Absolutely not. We all need a villain in sports. And it appears we got, listen, we just saw Chicago and Green Bay, right? Ben Johnson made no bones about it. He don't like you, Green Bay, and they don't like him either.
It is great, too, for this, but also understand this. I just wish Baker Mayfield had a better go of it in Cleveland. He was so banged up those final year and a half. They just cast him aside, and the big shiny toy was Deshaun Watson. They cast him aside. He goes to Carolina, then to L.A., and then finds a home at Tampa. If he was just healthy and stayed in Cleveland, they'd probably be a playoff contender year to year, but now they're just the Cleveland Browns as it sits. The Chargers, they're going to get help on their offensive side. Mike McDaniel now going to be the offensive coordinator, the previous head coach of the Miami Dolphins. I think this could be a match made in heaven out there with the other Harbaugh.
Yeah, and the one thing that I saw McDaniel do with this team is that he had to change what he wanted to do and what his philosophy was based upon the personnel he had. They became a running team this year, which is why they finished off the season so strong, the Miami Dolphins. That's not what he originally came to them writing up. That wasn't his forte, but you know what? It became his forte, which tells me he can evolve. I think this is a huge hire for the Chargers.
In the final weeks of the season, Diggs was cut by the Dallas Cowboys. Diggs went over to the Green Bay Packers, played a little bit, and also now released from the Green Bay Packers. Trayvon Diggs set to become a free agent here if the Packers said, nope, don't need you.
Yeah, well, we don't need to pay you $14.5 million if we keep you on the roster. So he might still land there, but it's going to be at a significantly less price than what his current contract would require them to pay him.
Aussie Open, Joe, you've been watching? Novak Djokovic's best shot to record his 25th major title is going to be Alcaraz at this point, and the women certainly trying to move up. Did you see Osaka's outfit as she came onto center court the other day? It's been popping down
pretty
there
impressive.
in Australia.
Yeah, pretty impressive stuff here, Don. But we all know ultimately in the end, let me know when Alcaraz and Sinner get there. Sabalenka also, the old man, it would be great to see Novak, have one final run at it. And he's certainly good enough as long as he doesn't play Alcaraz. That seems to be the one guy he's got no shot of getting past here.
Yannick Sinner, a -125 favorite to win the men's draw. Carlos Alcaraz, a +180, followed by Novak Djokovic. And then you flip it over to the women. Sabalenka, a +155 price. Iga Swiatek, a +650 price, Joe. Coco Gauff, the American, 8-1 price.
Yes.
Anisimova, +750. The Americans, Joe, showing up on the women's side.
Just the women's side, though, because we don't have any men that can play tennis anymore. It's unfortunate.
Now, Joe, let me ask you this question on this. We stink at soccer. Why do we stink at men's tennis, too? This should never be. Like this, like back in the day, we used to have dominant tennis players for the U.S. Now we have not. Pete Sampras, come back. Help us out a little. How about Michael Chang? Come on now.
Yes.
We'll be right back.
What is going on with this John Morant saga? Right? Joe's on the block. Joe wants to be traded. But now Joe comes back and he denies all trade talk and John says he has no desire to play elsewhere. So he shut it down. He's still viewed as a franchise centerpiece when on the floor. Memphis, they're better with him.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
The Buffalo Bills have to find a new head coach. Take a look at the leaders right now. A 33% chance Brian Dable takes that job. You say, well, why? Wait a second here. He's the head coach of the New York Giants. Did you know he came from the Buffalo Bills and basically resurrected Josh Allen on that MVP trajectory while he was with the Buffalo Bills? Clay Kubiak, Joe Brady, Davis Webb, all offensive guys, which I agree with.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Sure, you could say the punt block is a key play in the game. It was.
It was.
But the signature play of last night's game is the John Elway-esque diving sideways into the end zone. There's a picture of it right there.
Yeah.
To effectively win the national championship. That dude's a baller.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Hold on a second, though. You believe that Mike McDaniel is not head coach caliber?
No.
There's a lot of evidence that says Cliff Kingsbury is not
That's
either.
fine that you believe that. But here's the thing.
There's more. Hold on a second.
Hang on, go ahead.
Mike McDaniel has a better resume than Cliff Kingsbury.
He does on paper, but he's not a locker room guy.
Well, is Cliff?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Hour number 2 in full effect right here on a Hump Day Wednesday on the Sports Grid Network. This is the Early Line. Donnie right side, joined by Joe Ranieri. Now we welcome in our friend George Kurtz. A lot of information to go over. AFC, NFC Championship weekend, and also the coaching search carousel in the NFL always continues, George. Good to have you this morning.
Absolutely fun to be here, right? You said coaching search. 10. There were 10 job openings in the NFL. I think since last year, over half the head coach in the NFL will now be replaced.
It's unbelievable where teams are like, oh, look at this. Well, Liam Cohen did a quick turnaround in Jacksonville. We can find our Liam Cohen. We'll see how that turns out. But one of the biggest jobs left open, George, is the Buffalo Bills. Anarumo is getting a request here. Brian Dable. I was surprised they let go of McDermott. How do you figure that coaching search turns out? Offense, defense, what are you thinking there?
I don't think I was surprised they let go of McDermott. Not that I think he's so much needed to go here. I think it's more of a thing where he can only get you so far, right? He just couldn't get over that hump. They gave him, 9 tries, whatever it might be. Can't do it. Fan base is going ballistic here, as we know, with our own Gabe Morency. Not very happy. So they moved on here. My biggest shock, Donnie, was how does Billy Beane not go with him? All right. I just found this weird.
Correct.
I mean, Billy Beane failed up, right? He got promoted. He actually failed up. I think it was more his fault than it was McDermott's fault for not getting there. I know we were talking during the break. We've heard that Brian Dable is one of the favorites there. Another guy who would fail up, right? He didn't do all that well with the Giants there. I understand not the same team there, but Dable, this past year with the Giants, he looked like a chicken with his head chopped off at times, right? He was just a deer in the headlights on the sideline there. I guess it was dead man walking. He knew he was going to get chopped eventually, but he did some strange things running into the blue tent when Dart was in there for the concussion protocol there. I think it's going to be Dable because of his relationship with Josh Allen or Joe Brady. I think Brady could be the guy as well here. I don't think they want to lose Brady from what we're hearing. I think if they you talk to Brady, hey, if we bring in Dable, will you still be the OC? If Brady says yes, makes Dable a better shot. If Brady says no, I'm out of here, I'm not working with Dable, or I want to do my own thing someplace else because Dable might call his own plays, then I think Brady would have a better chance at getting the head coaching job there. But I think it will be an offensive guy, one of those two.
It's funny. I thought McDaniel would get another job without a doubt, head coaching if he wanted. But it's interesting that he chose the OC spot with the Chargers and Harbaugh. I think it's a great hire by Harbaugh. I don't know how he convinced him to do it, but him having Justin Herbert to navigate, I think that's a great move for Harbaugh and the Chargers.
Yeah, we've seen this all throughout the years, right? The decades of the NFL. Some guys are meant to be more coordinators than they are head coaches. And I do wonder if McDaniel's that guy. You think of Norv Turner or someone, or Wade Phillips, why was a better DC than a head coach. I do wonder if McDaniel's that same sort of thing. This could also be a rehabilitation. You go to the Chargers. The Eagles wanted him, right? The Commanders wanted him. A lot of teams wanted him for their OC. You go to the Chargers. You be his OC for whatever it is, a year or two. Rehabilitate your image. Things go well there. You score 1 million points. And then you go back into the head coaching cycles. I don't think it'll be 10 again next year, but we know every year 6 to 8 head coaches get replaced. So maybe you need to wait 2 years, but that will give you another chance in a couple of seasons.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that turns out. I think it's a great landing spot for him. And also understand this, well, why would he go there? Harbaugh's going to want to run fits have been fantastic in Miami. I think it's going to fit like a glove out there. Should be fun to watch. But let's get to the action this weekend, George, and we'll start in the AFC. That's a 3 o'clock game on Sunday. Drake May and Jared Stidham, not Bo Nix, because he did broke a bone in his ankle. He's out. This line's been going 4.5 to 5.5 all week long. So I'll start here with you, George. How do we feel about this game now that Stidham's the starting quarterback as opposed to Bo Nix, and do the Denver Broncos have a legitimate chance to still win this game?
Yeah, I'm just checking here to make sure it's still at 5.5. I think it's going to climb, by the way. I think by the time we get to Sunday, it'll be 6. Just a guess here. Listen, we could say all the things we want here. Oh, Sean Payton, he'll coach. He's one of the best quarterback coaches. He'll coach up Stidham in 6 days. Come on. Come on. I think in some ways they're kind of lucky that New England, they've struggled on offense themselves, right? Drake May has played okay, but certainly not great here. I think the Denver defense is going to keep this close for a bit, maybe a half plus, but eventually New England's going to pull away. I think that's sort of what we saw in the Houston and New England game, where all those mistakes by Stroud, just eventually Houston, they just couldn't hold the weight anymore, and that was it. The game was over. I think the same thing here. Listen, I'm on New England here. I played at the 4.5, certainly playing the 5.5 here. I'm going to have a gazillion parlays with New England and whatever NHL is going on, whether it's a Saturday NHL game, the Sunday NHL games, or even Monday. So I think New England's going to win the game. I think in the end it's going to be fairly easily. I think, unfortunately, they're going to the Super Bowl, as maybe I don't want to see the Patriots again. But I don't see the Broncos being able to survive. No Bo Nix. Might have felt differently if he was playing, but he's not. Stidham's going. Come on. It's a backup quarterback. I don't see this going well.
What about Seattle and the Rams sitting at just under a field goal here?
What are we seeing from Seattle lately, right? Ever since that disaster from Darnold with the 49ers, they're protecting him. All right, then he barely had to play Sunday against the Niners, right? That was Sunday night. Yep. That was a disaster. We knew it was going to be. And they took care of business because Seattle's defense is that good. I don't think Seattle's defense is Houston's defense, but it's pretty damn close here. Now, the Rams, They've won, but Stafford hasn't looked all that good. Granted, it was whatever it was in Chicago, 6 degrees. It was cold. That's going to affect anybody there. They're going to need to score points here. They're going to need to be that Stafford, that the MVP consider it, right? So I think we'll get more of that. But I don't think we'll get a 70-point ball game like we saw earlier in the season between these two teams. I think it's going to be more in the mid-40s here. I do like Seattle to sort of be a repeat of whatever Super Bowl that was, Seattle and New England. I think they win the game. Like I said, I think it's going to be a heavy Kenny Walker run game again here. No Zach Charbonnet. He's got the ACL tear there. So I think they're going to once again protect Darnold. We're not going to lose unless Darnold loses it for us, unless he's throwing 2-3 interceptions here. So I like Seattle to win the game here. Seattle, New England, Super Bowl.
Let me ask you a question on that game, too, because, Joe and I talk about it all the time. We don't ever worry about Matthew Stafford. Now, he can play poorly, but the expectations, we think he rises to the occasion. With Sam Darnold, understanding that he can play well, but also, will he be limited with that oblique injury, or do you have any worries about handicapping that edge this week, George, with Seattle?
If he has a true oblique, that's not going to heal in a week, right? That'll still be there.
Yeah,
an oblique is 4 to 6 weeks, and that's being nice if you have a big one. So, yeah, I think he will be limited, assuming the injury was a legit oblique and they're not just blowing smoke here. They'll shoot him up. He's playing, no doubt about that. But I do wonder about that. That's another reason why they don't want a shootout. They want to kill as much clock as they can here, and they don't want Sam Darnold throwing the ball 40 times. Scoring first would be imperative for Seattle.
It's great stuff here. That's George Kurtz, rising, grinding with us right here on the early line, getting you ready for AFC, NFC Championship weekend. Thanks, George. For myself and Joe Ranieri, we'll be right back after this short break.
What is going on with this John Morant saga, right? Joe's on the block. Joe wants to be traded. But now Joe comes back and he denies all trade talks and John says he has no desire to play elsewhere. So he shut it down. He's still viewed as a franchise centerpiece when on the floor. Memphis, they're better with him.
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
The Buffalo Bills have to find a new head coach. Take a look at the leaders right now. A 33% chance Brian Dable takes that job. You say, well, why? Wait a second here. He was head coach of the New York Giants. Did you know he came from the Buffalo Bills and basically resurrected Josh Allen on that MVP trajectory while he was with the Buffalo Bills? Clint Kubiak, Joe Brady, Davis Webb, all offensive guys, which I agree with.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Sure, you could say the punt block is a key play in the game. It was.
It was.
But the signature play of last night's game is the John Elway-esque diving sideways into the end zone. There's a picture of it right there. To effectively win the national championship. That dude's a baller.
The Craig Carden Show, only on SportsGrid.
Hold on a second, though. You believe that Mike McDaniel is not head coach caliber?
No.
There's a lot of evidence that says Cliff Kingsbury is not
That's
either.
fine that you believe that. But here's the thing. There's
more. Hold on a second.
Hang on, go ahead.
Mike McDaniel has a better resume than Cliff Kingsbury.
He does on paper, but he's not a locker room guy.
Well, is Cliff?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Predictive markets and the early line. It's a match made in heaven. You ever see some of those memes out there where, what was it, like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Apollo Creed, doing that with the flex into the elbows there? That's what it feels like, Joe. The energy is always high when we hit these predictive markets, and we don't even like to waste any time on this. You know where a good predictive market is right now? It's in Las Vegas for their next head coach, the favorite in the clubhouse, Joe. It's Clint Kubiak at 38%, followed by Davis Webb at 26%. Also, did you know that Jesse Minter's been brought back a second time to have an interview with the Raiders? He's now listed at 20%. Offense. You need to go offense if you have the number one pick and you're picking Mendoza, excuse me. Clint Kubiak, seems like it might be the right fit for him out there. Joe, what do you think?
I don't think the Raiders or Arizona, I don't think they're a right fit for anybody. I think you got to be very, very careful. Although I'll say this, it would appear that they have more younger pieces defensively than they do offensively right now. They're going to have a young quarterback, with the number 1 draft pick there in Mendoza likely coming in. So I think in order to stay afloat there, I think the defense first is probably not a bad way to look. But listen, you gotta start somewhere, right? But it wouldn't shock me. How many coaches have the Raiders had over the last 5 years now? Yeah, it's ugly.
Where's Bisaccia when you need him at this point? And by the way, if you look, top 3 guys, Joe, Kubiak, Webb, and Minter. Number 4 on that list at 10%, it's Sean McDermott. If I'm not going offense here, that could be a grand slam hire because sometimes, Joe, you're just looking for stability. Like the Giants, looking for stability. Got a stable guy. McDermott can bring that stability in there to see what happens. But Clint Kubiak right now is the favorite in the building, or at least in the favorite in the odds market. John Morant's next team here stays with Memphis or retires. That's coming in at a 75% chance, up 34%, and cresting right now, Joe. Miami and Minnesota behind them. It's interesting because we thought this was a foregone conclusion that he's out. Now he's the heavy favorite, Joe, to stay.
Yeah, and I think that, because I think they're finding the market isn't as robust as they would have thought. So, yeah, staying seems like it. But again, you made your bed, Memphis, and now you got to sleep with it. You allowed this guy to get away with what he when he wanted, for as long as he wanted, and this is what you have. I can promise you, the closest thing to a lock we'll have is him not coming to Pat Riley and the Miami Heat. Absolutely not.
If I was going to take a long shot here, Joe, 3%, that would be the Milwaukee Bucks. $100 investment pays back $1,000 just because they're trying to pull every string possible just to try and help and keep Giannis in town. That's one of the ways I would look, but it looks increasing. You're right. They're not just going to give the guy away. If nothing is going to come back to their side, you're probably better off just keeping him anyway at this point. Let's flip it over to tennis, Joe. How about this question? Will any man other than Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner win any ATP Grand Slam title this year? It's actually trading at 50% right now, Joe. How about that?
And it's Donnie, I mean, we're laughing. I mean, we talked about it with the Australian. Like, just let me know when Sinner and Alcaraz are playing, and I'll tune in. We're not. There's reason that we say that, right, Donnie? Because expecting anybody else, I mean, you're going to need what? How old is Novak now? What is he, 37, 38? I mean, you're hoping that at this point he's got one last hurrah on him. But, it's a young man's game. And those two guys, there's nobody out there that has shown they can beat either of them consistently.
It feels like the only way you win that bet, if you take the yes, is that they both get injured at some point during a tournament here, and then they can't win it at that point. But like one of those guys ending up in a final getting beat by not one of those guys that are up there, but somebody else. Come on now, long stretch at that point. Cleveland, week 1 starting quarterback here. Do you know the favorite in the clubhouse is, Joe? 49% chance. That's Shedeur Sanders. $100 investment pays back $205. Second in line. Stop it, man. Deshaun Watson is a no at 77 cents, Joe. $100 investment pays back $130, so you get 30% back. I'm saying no. There's no way Deshaun Watson starts week 1 for Cleveland. No way.
I can't even imagine who's coaching this team and that disaster they're going to have to go through. Your choice is Shedeur or what? Dylan Gabriel? Or why don't you just sign Flacco again and let him under center? Can we get an odd for that one there, Donnie?
But I look at this market, Joe, and you listen to say, just bet the no on the top. Shedeur Sanders should not be your starting quarterback. Deshaun Watson has no chance. Malik Willis, you're going to get him as a free agent to be your guy. Anthony Richardson, who can't even see out of one eye at this point, or Dylan Gabriel that you try to run out of there. I'll bet no across the board and cash 5 straight tickets on that option. How about that? Yep. Those are the Kalshi Poly Market indexes that we love to see. We'll bring more of those tomorrow for you. But on the way, more hot topics next. We'll be right back.
Looking for an edge in betting football? Injuries can make or break a game. Get insider knowledge from Dr. David Chow and the team of experts with Sick Picks at Sports Injury Central. We reveal hidden health-based advantages the sports books. Our doctors provide insights, and our algorithm tells you who to bet on. Spreads, props, totals, in-game bets, Sick Picks covers it all. Go to SickScore.com and sign up for Sick Picks and use the promo code SportsGrid for a free week today.
The outlined for Koepka are fantastic. I think it's perfect. It is punitive, but it's fair. You've got to levy some sort of fine, so to speak, for defecting, and I think they've done a wonderful job of being equitable and punishing him a bit at the same time. I think Brooks ultimately wants to be playing with the best.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Team USA really undersold this. The superstars really weren't going, but the rest of the world, Latin America, they really geared up. The Team USA actually put their best foot forward, almost like you're having like the dream team of the United States players here going to be out on the baseball diamond. Great pitching, great superstars around. So Clayton Kershaw was like, you know what? You got a spot for me where you can throw me 70 innings in this tournament because I'm not going to be playing baseball the rest of the year, and I'm just going to go away and relax and be happy.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
AFC Championship game, 3 o'clock, Sunday afternoon, Mile High Stadium. Yeah, I'm still going to call it Mile High Stadium because it is the Mile High City. You take a look at this number, Joe. 4.5 at the opener, up to 5.5. It's been bouncing back, 4.5 to 5.5. We just talked to George Kurtz, and he says he probably thinks this line is going to continue to increase as the week goes on. Jarrett Stidham is the starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos, not Bo Nix. Drake May, he will be the starter for the New England Patriots, but also not playing great football and certainly seems turnover prone as of late. The total in this game is up, Joe, from 40.5 at the opening number to 42.5. But weather conditions are getting colder by the day. We were talking earlier in the week, somewhere in the mid-40s, now into the low 40s. Now we're seeing this into the 30s and into the 20s. A cold day expected in the Mile High City, Joe.
Yeah, it's going to be. And keep an eye on the weather, Donnie. We talked about this in our spread line segment last hour that it can change in a heartbeat. We're not talking about dome teams here. We're talking about two parts of the country here where the weather can change on a dime, especially with Denver. So keep an eye on that. I think you'll start to see the total adjust, but I disagree with George because I don't think we're getting anywhere near a touchdown when this is all said and done. I don't think we're going to see 6.5s at all. I don't think we'll ever see a 7. And if we, by some miraculous chance, happen to, Donnie, it's going to be bet back down in a heartbeat here. I mean, we're not talking about a Jarrett Stidham backup quarterback that is first year with his head coach or has absolutely no experience ever starting a game in the end. That's not what we're dealing with here. I know it's easy to just discount this team, but remember, they're a number 1 seed. They also have rest advantage here, Donnie. Let's not forget that. They played on Saturday. New England played on Sunday. That matters in these spots. So, teams that have the number 1 seed have extra rest and had to play one less game. I wouldn't be just sticking a fork in Denver right off the bat here. I think they're very much a live dog. And look, if they don't win, they are still very capable of covering this line.
It's a good point you bring up, Joe, because I look at this game and I say to myself, there's no chance the Denver Broncos win a Super Bowl with Jarrett Stidham. It's not going to happen. But that doesn't mean that the Denver Broncos at home in the AFC Championship game can't be competitive enough to stay within a touchdown and or just win the game outright. Completely different story, neutral field. Stidham going up against the Rams and or the Seattle Seahawks. I don't think that ends there, but I do think there's a fact that they can keep close in this game. Let me ask you this question, too, because we're now going to hear, and rightfully so from the Denver organization, how good Jarrett Stidham is, how he's ready for the big moment. And you try to shut that noise out and be an honest handicapper on what you think you can get out of Stidham. The one thing I do know is Sean Payton loves to pass the football. He's not just going to change his stripes and run the football 45 times in this game. So the question for me, Joe, can he get his passing prop number, which is around the 190 price point?
Well, yeah. I mean, what you also need to know about this Broncos team is they have the number 3 best offensive line when it comes to protecting the quarterback. I mean, Bo Nix wasn't under any duress at all in that game against Buffalo in any way, shape, or form. Jarrett Stidham is not going to be under duress in any way, shape, or form in this game. And let's not forget, it's not like Sean Payton is a stranger to having backup quarterbacks in a game plan for him. Don't forget, he had this already happen with Jarrett Stidham for 2 games in 2023. I don't like the running game of Denver, but to your point, Donnie, the guy that's going to pass the most likely in this game is Jarrett Stidham. I think his over 18.5, I think, is what his completion prop is. I like over his yardage. It's quick reads, get the ball out of your hand, and let your playmakers make some plays. And they've got a lot of those on the outside.
Backup quarterbacks, Joe, throughout the season, when you're backing up a guy like Bo Nix, you're taking no snaps. You get like 1 snap a week. You're going to run some scout team. You're going to be in the quarterback room, try to understand the game plan. And sometimes we take a look at things different. Like if Stidham was thrown into a game in the second quarter because Bo Nix broke his ankle, that's a completely different scenario. He's coming in cold. This entire game plan this week from Sean Payton is going to cater around what Stidham wants to do and what he's comfortable with. That does make a big deal, but we'll see where this line certainly comes out. Drake May, the better quarterback, absolutely in this game. Still hard to win football games on the road in elevation and freezing cold temperatures. We'll see how that one plays out. Let's flip it over to the NFC, Joe. The Rams and the Seattle Seahawks. This line opened up under a field goal, still staying under a field goal. I want to start with you here first. Do we think, again, that this line is going to stay 2.5 throughout the week, closer to 2 by the end of the week, or even, Joe, getting to a 3 line by the time we get to game time?
Well, I think what we've already seen is that because this was 3 early Monday, and then it settled in at 2.5, and we haven't sniffed at 3 since. And that's because, Donnie, as soon as it gets to the key number of 3, you're going to have the other side betting it back down to 2.5. So I think that's exactly what you're going to see here. I would not be shocked as the week progresses. And again, when the limits increase this time of the week, and the bigger bets can start to roll in here, it wouldn't shock me if the bigger bets start to come in on the Rams. And again, the Rams, maybe this gets down to 2, 1.5, but I don't know that this is going to land 3. I think 2.5 is where it will be. I certainly don't think you're going to get the hook in any way, shape, or form here at 3.5 prior to kick. And I still think it ultimately comes down to these two teams know each other very, very well. Both games were within one score, a field goal, essentially. Ultimately, it's going to have to come down to which team offensively do we trust to make a big play in the big moment. Is it Stafford or is it Sam Darnold? And that, to me, will decide who you're betting in this game.
You're right. And also, you take a look at Sam Darnold's passing prop number, Joe, listed at 235.5. We saw it around that similar number last week, and it tanked close to game time because we weren't sure what we were going to get out of him with that injury. Now, granted, in that game, it was a blowout. He didn't have to throw a lot. But if you're expecting the Seattle Seahawks to win this football game, you're going to need an effort out of Sam Darnold. This can't be one of those games where you say, all right, I lean on my defense. Maybe you can. But Matthew Stafford has an elite level weaponry that he can come after that defense with. And again, we talked about the weather conditions in Denver, not nearly as bad here in the Pacific Northwest, where 1 degree mile-per-hour winds. That is absolutely nothing at this point. I'm interested to see what actually happens in this game with Sam Darnold because I need to see the practice reports. If I'm getting limited efforts out of Darnold this week, I'm worried about that. If I get full practice right away on a Wednesday, Joe, that could tilt the scales in my favor if I want to take Seattle.
Are you ready for the possibility of there being a Jarrett Stidham versus Drew Lock Super Bowl, because that could very much be on the table here, folks. It could be Denver and Seattle, sure, but it could be Seattle with Drew Lock, the backup quarterback, as opposed to Sam Darnold. So this is going to be very interesting. The one thing I can tell you, interestingly enough, is that it feels like we got 4 teams left, Donnie. It feels like 4 of the best defenses this season, at least top 5, top 10 remain. And I think that's a pretty good key indicator on what it takes. You can't just have all offense. You better have a top 10 defense, and all 4 of these teams do.
Taking a look at the totals, Joe, if we take a look at the first game, New England and Denver, that's listed, let's call it 42.5. Game number 2, Rams and Seattle, 47.5. Am I wrong for thinking right now that New England and Denver's 42.5 has a better chance to go over than Seattle, Los Angeles, until we see those practice reports from Sam Darnold? It feels like that game, 47.5 is a lot. That's a key number going through the 47. I'm actually looking more at that New England game, Joe, than I am the second one.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, listen, could I see Seattle and the Rams playing, to 50 or more points? Absolutely, I can. But I can certainly see mid-40s, 24-20 type of situation with the Rams, with New England and Denver, rather. I think that's very much in the play here.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see, again, it play out. A couple more days to go, but Wednesday is that first official practice day after the Tuesday layoff. Then you have Thursday and Friday before you get ready for the weekend. We'll keep an eye on these weather forecasts, but more importantly, some of these injury reports that you're going to need to know. We got you covered on the SportsGrid Network. It's just what we do. Let's get over to college basketball next. Isaac Trotter is going to join us next to go over what's been going down.
Memphis is shopping John Morant. Yeah, no kidding. They should have shopped him 2 years ago and got rid of him. The problem is, where does he go? Like, what team is going to sit there and deal with a dude who, A, has not been healthy or reliable both on the court or off the court? Like, who's trading for John Morant here, Coach?
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Awesome offensively, and in reality, they weren't awesome offensively. In the first half, they just had the Kwan Lacey broken play. I hate to say this because I do not want to take away credit from everybody who went on the run that they went on. But I think it's fair, maybe you won't, to wonder if that result is different if Lane Kiffin sticks around and everybody else with this Ole Miss.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Buy or sell. Tua has made his last start for the Dolphins. Feels like Sam went easy on this one.
If I could be that crazy guy, was it Jim Cramer? Buy. Yeah, there's no way he's playing for the Dolphins again. After he said that statement, there was no way in hell anyway. But once again, new coach, new GM. I don't know how they're going to do the cap hit. It's massive.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
I'll tell you what, guys. The insider scam is like the best insider scam in the business of, like, in the history of television. They don't know anything until their phone gets the text message in which the deal is done, right? We saw this with Quinn Hughes. We were told, he wants to play with his brothers. Now they're saying that he wanted to be traded to Detroit. In other words, just say you don't know.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Sometimes it's time to turn the page, people. We are winding down. College football's done. The NFL's got 2 games left this weekend, then the Super Bowl, and off into the sunset we go because the focus will start to go to the NBA, more importantly, college basketball. Donnie right side along with Joe Rainier. We welcome in Isaac Trotter, 24/7 Sports and CBS Sports. I need some help, Isaac. Thank you for joining us today.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. Let's get right into it and have some fun. The SEC, one of the better basketball conferences in the land. Who would have thought that 20 years ago? It's now reality. Yesterday, Bud Walton was rocking with a 93-68 victory with the Razorbacks down the Commodores yesterday. Coach Cal, a little bit up and down the SEC, bounces back in that performance. What did you see last night from Bud Walton?
Yeah, pure raw domination. I think if Arkansas could play every single home game, I would be all in on them to win the title at 35-1. They are a different team at home, and this is probably the most talented roster in the SEC. I think Florida is definitely the team to beat right now. But Arkansas's talent is overwhelming. Malik Thomas and Darius Acuff, they're thunder and lightning, those freshman guards. Acuff's been terrific this year. Thomas, just instant offense. Both those guards also don't turn the basketball over a ton. Arkansas has great size. They bring great dudes off the bench. They just have a good top 8. And that's a team that, like, when they're dialed in and ready to go, I think they can beat anybody. The problem is that when they go on the road, it feels like sometimes they slack off. But to be like Arkansas is the story. The secondary story is Vandy is not big enough to win the title. There were some people that have, proclaimed that Vanderbilt's a tier 1 national title contender. I don't see it like that. I think Tyler Tanner's a really good player. I think he's a potential NBA player, but Vanderbilt's lack of interior size and rim protection and, thump on the glass is really jarring. And they've gotten brutalized on the boards by Arkansas, brutalized on the boards by Florida. And I think we've starting to see the real Vanderbilt where they're a good team, a team that potentially could make the second weekend with the right draw, but this is not a national championship contender.
So I got to ask, guys, because, scheduling this time of year is interesting, especially now that we have teams flying halfway around the world to Orlando to play UCF like we did Arizona a few days ago. And boy, oh boy, that was a little too close for comfort for Arizona. But now they travel home and they're taking on Cincinnati, who, listen, they're going to bring the defense. Do they have enough of it in order to keep this game close here tonight? Or are the Bearcats likely going to get run out of the building?
So the thing with Cincinnati all year is if they can keep you out of transition and get their half-court defense set, it's a very, very good unit. That's easier said than done, though, against Arizona. Arizona is one of the elite transition offenses in college basketball, and they play with such violence. They're terrific on the glass, and when they get out and run, it feels like they got 8 or 9 guys that can really, really hurt you. And it feels like they really have 8 guys that could score double figures every night. And so Cincinnati, I don't see a scenario for Cincinnati to take good enough shots in this half-court offense to keep Arizona out of transition, because it feels like Arizona is going to force contested jumpers, and that those long shots are long rebounds that Arizona just turns and books the other way for easy shots in the open floor if Cincinnati can't get the defense set. So it all comes down to Cincinnati's shot selection tonight, because I think that'll impact if they can get that unit set. For me, if I don't have a play on this game, if I was looking at one, I think the Cincinnati team total under 69.5 is certainly a solid look. I just don't see a lot of pass for them to be able to score against this Arizona front line.
Xavier going to be on the road in the Big East to take on Greg McDermott's Creighton Blue Jays tonight. About a touchdown favorite here for Creighton at home in this Big East battle, and a 155.5. Any options here for you, Isaac, in this game between Xavier and Creighton?
Yeah, I like Xavier team total under 74.5. Last time these two played, Creighton ran them out of the building, held Xavier to 57 points, and Creighton's just built to give Xavier trouble. I sell Creighton against athletic teams, and I buy them against unathletic teams. Xavier's not in a very athletic group, and Xavier's really kind of gotten their confidence and swagger a little bit by playing a 5-out option right now at the 5. They have basically 5 shooters. They basically play centers off the floor. Creighton doesn't have a center. They play a 6'8", 240-pound Jason Green at the 5. So they're very switchable, very mobile. They can really, kind of shut down a lot of what Xavier wants to run. And 2 stats that I thought were interesting. Xavier relies heavily on transition offense so far to generate their offense. Creighton's one of the elite transition denial teams. They just keep teams out of transition. So that's one factor. Then you kind of look back at that first game. It's like, Xavier took 65 shots. If you look at shot quality, only 6 of them were graded as high quality shots. It was a ton of contested jumpers. It was a ton of long late clock threes. It was a ton of tested runners in the middle of the floor. Like, Creighton just guarded them really well, guarded their action, stayed in front, and forced a lot of tough shots. I don't see a scenario. Yeah, like they'll maybe play a little bit better than the first time, but I just don't see a scenario where Xavier magically creates a bunch more great shots to get over 74.5 on the road.
Isaac, I've been telling these guys for the last couple of weeks, you got to watch Miami of Ohio, the Red Hawks play basketball. It's one of the most fun things you will see. They are undefeated. We talked about Arizona. They are undefeated. And then you got Nebraska as the last undefeated team, and they're taking on Washington here tonight, laying a big number. I think the Red Hawks certainly can finish the regular season undefeated, but Nebraska is going to lose, right? Eventually, maybe.
I do think Nebraska is going to lose. I don't think they're going to lose tonight, but I do think 11.5 is a few too much to lay. I'm on Washington plus 11.5. I think Washington has great size, and their best two of their best three shooters, honestly, are healthy. Jacob Ognisevich and Wesley Yates. Those are huge, huge variables against a Nebraska defense that's been terrific this year and basically forces you to take contested threes. So I do think Washington has the shooting now to be able to hold serve. They also have the size that you need to counteract some of Nebraska's double big lineups. And I like targeting Nebraska or going against Nebraska with big, strong guards. Washington has two of those in Wesley Yates and Zoom Diallo. So I think Yates is really the key X factor here. Him getting back, he has 2 games back underneath his belt after a midseason injury. When he's his best version, he's an all Big Ten type of guard, and I think Washington can stay inside the number tonight.
Isaac, we're getting closer and closer we get to Selection Sunday. You take a look at some of the national championship favorites. It's Michigan plus 390. Is there a team out there that you're really looking towards to cut down those nets?
Yeah, I think UConn's undervalued right now. 14-1 is crazy. I think that they're very much on pace to be a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. They have a great draw. I also think 3-1 to make the Final Four is an extremely good bet for an offense that will only get better with time.
Isaac Trotter, thank you. Follow him on X, Isaac_Trotter. We'll be right back.
Memphis is shopping John Morant. Yeah, no kidding. They should have shopped him 2 years ago and got rid of him. The problem is, where does he go? Like, what team is going to sit there and deal with a dude who, A, has not been healthy or reliable both on the court or off the court? Like, who's trading for John Morant here, Coach?
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Awesome offensively, and in reality, they weren't awesome offensively. In the first half, they just had the Kawan Lacey broken play. I hate to say this because I do not want to take away credit from everybody who went on the run that they went on. But I think it's fair, maybe you won't, to wonder if that result is different if Lane Kiffin sticks around and everybody else with this Ole Miss.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Buy or sell. Tua has made his last start for the Dolphins. Feels like Sam went easy on this one.
If I could be that crazy guy, was it Jim Cramer? Buy. Yeah, there's no way he's playing for the Dolphins again. After he said that statement, there was no way in hell anyway. But once again, new coach, new GM. I don't know how they're going to do the cap hit. It's massive.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
I'll tell you what, guys. The insider scam is like the best insider scam in the business of, like, in the history of television. They don't know anything until their phone gets the text message in which the deal is done, right? We saw this with Quinn Hughes. We were told, he wants to play with his brothers. Now they're saying that he wanted to be traded to Detroit. In other words, just say you don't know.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Final segment. We made it on a hump day. Tomorrow's a Thursday, then followed by a Friday, and a big-time weekend in the NFL. And I thought we did a good job of getting you ready for everything you need to know in a great college basketball segment we just had with our guy Isaac right there, filling in the blank spaces there as we head towards March Madness, which again, people, in the month of February, you are going to get teams that are already playing in their conference championship tournaments here, Joe. It goes quick. It does.
It really does. I mean, the next couple of weeks, Donnie, are huge here. It's really going to start to see some separation. Who gets red hot this time of year? We saw Florida get really hot in January and roll themselves right into a national championship. Some teams peak a little too early. So there's a lot of teams to keep an eye on here over the next couple of weeks.
I'll tell you what else to keep an eye on. The Buffalo Bills head coaching job, very sought after. Udinski is going to get brought in for a second interview here, or another interview, I should say, for the Buffalo Bills. Anthony Lynn being brought in, as well as Brian Dable. We'll see if we get some of those 6 opportunities out there to be head coaches closed today. And I hear that from you, Joe, and you're right. Like, you move on from McDermott. You better get a rock star in there right behind him. And it's like, hey, guys, McDermott didn't work out. Here's Udinski.
Yeah, that's going to go over well with Bills Mafia, who's already bent out of shape. That McDermott told you we got to restructure what you guys are doing in the front office. And they were like, yeah, okay, you're fired. And then let's promote people. They are not happy, Bills Mafia. And Udinski is not going to calm the waters.
Nope. The Bills Mafia is letting that organization know they are unhappy. Now we like to reach out to the public and ask them if they're unhappy about a certain topic here. Here's our Fade the Public poll. I love this. Our people are smart. I'm smart, as they said in The Godfather. Should Carlos Beltran be in MLB's Hall of Fame? Did you know, Joe? 65% of the public? No. What is going on? You got to respect the public here, Joe. No?
Love the public. See, I tell you guys, absolutely the smartest of smart. That's what I've always been saying.
Smart.
Usually, I try to fade you every chance I get, but not this one, Donnie. Absolutely not this one. They are spot on. It's as hypocritical as it gets.
Put Pete in, put Barry Bonds in, then maybe we can have these conversations, and then we'll go down there. But the people that we always ask we need feedback from are the smartest people, as Joe says. Thank you for responding back to that poll. Follow us on X at SportsGrid. That's how it get down. Now, best bets up on deck. Here's bye. Time to roll, people. Joe went with an undefeated bunch yesterday and came away with an overtime victory. Where are we going tonight? College basketball, NBA, NHL? What is it?
We're going to go college hoops. I'm going to head to Rupp Arena where Texas will be taking on Kentucky here. And Kentucky and Mark Pope with a couple of back-to-back wins, desperately needed wins. The only problem is they had to actually come from behind down at least 15 or more points in both of those wins, Donnie, in the second half. That is just ridiculous. Now they take on a Texas team with Sean Miller that I like. And this is a team that is more than capable of not only reaching the tournament, Donnie, but doing some damage. They're coming off a disappointing loss to A&M on Saturday, but now you're giving them 7.5 points with some of the most experienced big guards and big men in the game. Yeah, no. Kentucky is not there for me. They may win this game, but expecting them to win it by margin? No. I got to see it to believe it. I'll take the 7.5 points with Texas tonight.
Yeah, fading Kentucky against the line, never a bad idea. We'll see if Texas can hold up, maybe even pull out an outright victory there at Rupp Arena. For me in the NBA, going back out to the West Coast, 10 o'clock tonight. Back-to-back games for both of these teams, the Raptors and the Kings. This line opened up overnight, Joe, at -6. It now sits at -4.5. You take a look at the Sacramento Kings, only getting about 30% of the ticket count early in the morning. So I'm going to go ahead, Joe, and take the ugly underdog at home with the Kings at +4.5 to battle back. The Raptors looked good last night. Fade them tonight on the back-to-back here. Give me the Kings, baby. King me, Joe.
I love it. Yeah, no, I have no interest in backing a team that dropped 145 points last night, who will likely regress and score 95 tonight, Donnie.
How about this, Joe? Let me ask you this question. 6 jobs open in the NFL. Again, by tomorrow morning when we open the show, will we have another head coaching hire already completed in the NFL?
Yes, and it will likely be the Baltimore Ravens.
Time to rest the voice. We made it, people. It's how we get down to business. There are no days off here. Johnny Right Side, Joe Ranieri. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning on the Early Line again.